All right, in this episode of Conversation is Ventilation, we're going to go a little off the rails. Part of it's because we had a little too much coffee at the station at shift's end, and part of it is because we're realizing how much we're idiots and we don't need it, and it's all bullshit. So stay tuned to find out what the hell we're talking about. And welcome back into Spare Bedroom Studios. I'm your host, The Shimmick, and I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to send this episode and dedicate it to two officers, actually, today. We're going to go back a little bit into the archives. March 28th, 2023, right here in Huntsville, Alabama, we had two officers responding to a report of a female shot. When they arrived on scene, Officer Garrett Crumby and Albert Moran met some gunfire, were ambushed, and Officer Garrett Crumby was fatally shot, and Albert Moran was critically injured. And so today we're going to dedicate this episode to them. Okay. So the ultimate sacrifice, both of them rushing in while some were running away, trying to solve the problem. So grab your favorite cocktail or your diet waters, take a sip. So this is for them. This is for HPD. This is for the guys and the girls in blue. This episode is dedicated to them. We will keep them in our thoughts and prayers. All right. So today we're going to do a little bit of something different, and got into a funny discussion this morning at the station, having some coffee with the oncoming crew. And I like to get them riled up a little bit in the morning. It's fun. It's actually a hobby. I tell myself and my wife and everyone that I'm doing it because traffic is so bad coming into Huntsville that you might as well stay at work for a little while and take a free shower and drink coffee. And it's fun just to rattle their cage. It's kind of like when you walk up and you just shake the cages, and then you watch the dogs just get crazy. And so it's fun to do. I won't say your name online, but on the internet. But you know who you are. It rhymes with Schmeef Schmittel. I kind of said it. So this is for you, buddy. You remember this conversation that happened this morning. And we were talking about how expensive life gets. And for those of you who know him, you know that's a topic. He's all about the dollars and cents. I'm all about the humor. But we got into a fun conversation. So we realized that what happens is let's say you get hired at the fire department or a police officer, you get your first real job. Okay. I know when I got hired here, I actually doubled my income. And so from day one, when I towed the line at recruit school, I was living the dream. I'd never made more than $16,000 in my life. And so everyone was like, Shimmick, I took a pay cut to be here. This is about, and I'm like, I've never made so much money. So right off the bat, every time we'd get a step raise, every time we get a cost of living raise, I'd never made so much money in my life. So that's been the joke, my whole career. It's been a fun topic, light topic. But we started joking about how the instinct is when you get married, you're a young kid, you're in your 20s, you get yourself a wife, probably a nurse or a dental assistant or a teacher for some reason. Firefighters attract those, or cosmetologists. And you go ahead and you run out and you're like, okay, I'm going to go buy a big house, and you're going to go, have a kid or two, and and you go buy the bass boat, and you buy the F-350 with the king cab and the jacked up dually tires and the posi traction with the footprint gas pedal. And you just go crazy, and you're spending. And you can afford these things on paper, at least the bank tells you, and you go nuts. And then you get a little older and you realize all I do is go to work. And what sucks and what's bullshit about all of it is that when you get around our age, you start realizing how much time you've been at work. And what started the whole funny conversation is this week I worked 87 hours. 87. And, I work in the summer a little overtime to help pay for my snowboard shenanigans in the winter and my excessive traveling, which I highly recommend taking advantage of and doing. But it rolled into conversations about these young kids. How the hell are they affording these things? These guys are running out, and this is what we want to talk about. This is for the new guys, the new girls. When you're sitting in your first couple of years and you're 24, 25, and you've got all this opportunity to go purchase these things, you don't need a $900 truck payment. You don't need a 4,000 square foot house. You don't need a $60,000 bass boat. You don't need an RV. You don't need a side-by-side. You don't need 6 quads. You don't need 4 dirt bikes. You don't need 6 motorcycles. But we go buy it, because we're doing well, with at least we think we are. But when the smoke settles and the dust or whatever, you realize all you do is go to work. I can't tell you how many times over my career we've laughed about the $80,000 trucks backed into parking spots behind the station. We have laughed about that many times. It's hilarious. These guys' truck payments are more than my house payment. And so if I could go back, shake myself, I would shake the cage and say, you don't need it. Now, I'm doing better now because I'm 47. I drove home from work today in a paid-for vehicle, parked it next to a paid-for motorcycle, parked it in the driveway of a house that is a modest 3-bedroom, 2-bath starter home, and it's just fine. And I promise you, no one is going to remember what my countertops look like. No one's going to care that I had a 2010 Harley that's paid for, whether versus a 2024 brand new. Nobody cares. When you're young, you think people care. And so it rolled into, this comedy between all of us at the station. It's like, we're so stupid. We're so stupid. We have a schedule that allows us to travel. We have a schedule that pays us decently to come to work for 10 days a month. I'm gone 10 days a month. I have 20. Now, most firefighters and a lot of PD, I think too, we moonlight. We have second jobs. Most firemen. Some of that is our own damn fault. You don't need it. If I'm sitting here talking to a room full of 22-year-old recruits, I'm going to tell them it's all bullshit. You don't need it. You don't need a $60,000 bass boat. You don't need an RV. You don't need a 4,000, 6,000 square foot home. I don't care that you just had a baby or you've got 2 kids under the age of 5. Nobody's died. Nobody's ever died sharing a room. No one's ever died living in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot house. For some reason, we've gotten in this mindset, we got to have bigger and better and all this fancy shit. Well, guess what? You're going to go to work and you're going to pay for it. And while you're sitting at work 87 hours a week to squeak by, your wife's sitting at home, bored, not feeling the love. Your kids are sitting at home wondering where their dad is. Well, he's working all day and every night. And when he gets off a shift, he's got to put on a different shirt and go work another 8 to 12 hours at his side job. So he's coming home, 48 plus 12? Let's just say 60 hours later. 60 hours. And we wonder why the divorce rate is through the roof. Our wives are unhappy. Our kids hate us. We never see them. And then when we muster up a few dollars and a week or 2 of vacation, we run ourselves down to Disney World or the beach, and we drop $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 on a family vacation, and we muster through it. And we come back and we get right into the grind, paying for all the crap we don't need. We don't need it. It's silly. We go to work to pay for a bunch of shit we don't need, and nobody cares. And I promise you, when your left arm starts hurting and you drop dead of a heart attack, no one's going to care about your stuff. Most of my crap is going to end up in a thrift store once it's picked over a little bit by a few people that care about me. After that, it's just stuff. Nobody cares. But yet, we grind away. We grind away hours. We're working double to triple the amount of hours a week than the average person. And we wonder why we're on our third marriage. We wonder why we have a drinking problem. Or we wonder why our kids don't talk to us. Then what happens is, and that was part of the joke, we come home one day and our wife's like, I want a divorce. So now you move out of your house you paid for, you helped pay for, and now you're living in a one-bedroom apartment. Your kids ain't talking to you. Your boat got repossessed, and you're still trying to pay off that truck that you bought 8 years ago. That gets, 16 miles to the gallon if you're lucky, 10 normally. Diesel's, $47 a gallon? We don't need it. It's crap. And I want to go and shake every 19-year-old kid and say, look, go buy the smallest house. You want to get married? Great. You want to bring in 2 incomes? Your wife's working as a nurse or a dental assistant or a cosmetologist? Great. Go buy yourself a modest 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house. You don't need 6 bathrooms. You don't need 17-acre backyard. You don't need it. You're going to spend your whole life working for it, and then you're going to wake up someday and your daughter hates you and your wife left you, and, it's a joke, but is it? It's a joke, but is it? It's not a joke. And then we end up being a salty old fireman with a mustache covering our lips, just a cool, and just bitter, right? And then you walk into fire, you retire. You walk into the fire station a year later, and half the department doesn't know who you are. 2/3 of them don't really care. And you're a fart in the wind. I keep bumping myself on the mic. I'm getting fired up. Fired up. You don't need it. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. They're selling you the new, oh God, but don't, trust me. I would love a brand new Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. I would love to have fancy stuff. Who wouldn't? It's natural, but it's a game. It's designed to keep us in debt. We work a ton as it is. I have one job and I still worked 87 hours this week. My wife was home alone. My dog was home alone for 87 hours. It's 87 hours that I gave of my life in my short time on this planet to what? Who cares? No one's going to be sitting around at my funeral going, well, he drove a nice car. No, nobody cares. It's all bullshit. So stop getting a good job, coming into the fire service, coming into the PD, coming into first responder. We work a ton of hours, okay? You're going to already miss a bunch of family time. Your wife and your wives, your husbands, and your children are going to be away from you. We are going to sacrifice enough already. We don't need to straddle ourselves down with a bunch of shit we don't need and barely make the payments. Nobody's going to care that you got a $60,000 bass boat in the garage that you take out 3 times a year if you're lucky. You could have bought a $3,000 boat with cash and gone fishing just as many times. You don't need it. We're straddled with payments. Our kids don't know us. Our wives never see us. Our dog won't leave our side when we're home because he knows at some point I'm going to leave. Sometimes it's it's normally for 48. Sometimes it's for 60. It's craziness. Crazy. We don't need it. And obviously after a pot of coffee and getting the guys riled up and shaking the cage, right? I left him. I said, have a great day. Because Shmee Schmidl was on overtime. And he, because he's all about the dollars and cents. And I love the guy. I'm going to give him a hug when I see him again. But we don't need it. It's funny. So next time you want to drive by that parking lot or, look at those big trucks or drive through that new planned neighborhood just outside of town with the fancy brick. You look at it, you can want it, but you don't need it. It's all bullshit. It's designed to get you into payments, and payments equal time away from our families. On top of the time we're already gone. It's ridiculous. And when you get this age, someday you're going to go, fuck, I'm not sure it was worth it. Because it wasn't. I promise you, it's not going to be worth it. All right, on that note, everyone have a great day. Kind of a weird show, but you know what? Sometimes you need someone to come up and tell you things that you need to hear. And I'm literally speaking to myself and a 19-year-old version of myself, and maybe you can get something out of it. Worst case scenario, you see your rookie standing there at 23 and you slap him across the face when he's looking at an $80,000 truck. You don't need it. It's all bullshit. You don't need it. You don't need it. Stop buying the fancy shit that we don't need. I apologize for the cussing. It's going to happen once in a while. But I think anyone can agree. So have a great day. I love every one of you. Thank you for supporting. Do not forget to head over to Spotify, head over to Apple Podcasts. We're also over there. Subscribe, like. Please, if you can, comment. It helps get the video out, helps spread the word. We're just out here yapping. You know, hopefully we can help make a change, make a difference in people's lives, and just continue the conversation. That's what this is all about. Conversation. So have a great day. Stay safe. Stay safe. Stay together. I'm a little jacked up right now. All right. So I love you. Have a great day. Till next time.